Welcome kapatid to our series on how to answer law school and bar problems. Today we are taking a look at a problem from the 2022 bar exam. I'll be showing you precisely how to answer a problem, how to be responsive to a problem, and how you can also arrive at an elegant and precise answer all on your own. All of this and more coming right up. Hi, my name is Lex and welcome to Lex in Motion. In this channel, I'll be helping you build your competence, confidence, and capability in law school. Start today by hitting the subscribe button below. New episodes are posted every Friday. Without further ado, let us now begin with a problem from the 2022 bar examination. I'll be showing it on your screen right now. The first step in answering every problem is to take a deep breath. Find a way to calm yourself down. Don't look at the problem, don't look at your screen. Ipikit mo ang iyong mga mata kapatid at huminga ka lang muna ng malalim. The second step is to take another deep breath. As you exhale, know and understand that however way you're going to answer this next problem really is not going to matter. Tuldok lang ito kapatid. It is a dot, a speck, minutiae in the great grand story of your law school journey. And as you exhale, envision yourself passing your exam, passing the bar exam, taking the oath and what you'll be wearing on your roll signing. Now, you are ready to look at the problem. The third step is to read the last sentence, then the second to the last sentence, and then the two sentences together. If what you see at the end of the problem are phrases like explain briefly or discuss fully, feel free to include these with the last sentence. We do this, kapatid, in order for us to zero in on the problem. We can only be responsive if we know exactly what is being asked. We skip ahead to the last sentence because this is where the question is usually found. Remember, we can only be responsive if we know exactly what is being asked. Let's look at the last sentence of the problem. Do you agree with the prosecutor's charges against Jhudas and Pontio? Explain briefly. Let's read the second to the last sentence of the problem for more clues. Due to Judas's admission, coupled with the sworn statement of an eyewitness, the prosecutor filed two informations, one for murder and one for illegal possession of firearm against both Jhudas and Pontio. These two sentences together should automatically trigger in your head the crime of illegal possession of firearms under Republic Act No. 10591. In the olden days, the crime of illegal possession of firearms has existed as a completely separate offense, but the rules have now been changed. It may be charged separately, it may be absorbed into another crime or crimes, or it may be considered as an aggravating circumstance. Here, the examiner is asking us whether or not we agree with the prosecutor's charges against Jhudas and Pontio. Then, we are being asked to explain briefly. The next step is for us to identify the rule, concept, provision, or doctrine that is being asked in the problem. The master key to being hyper-responsive is by identifying the exact rule, provision, concept, or doctrine upon which the examiner has built the problem. If we can reverse engineer how the problem was drafted in the first place, then it gives us the fighting chance to give the precise answer that the examiner is looking for. Dito sa problem na ito kapatid, ano kaya ang sinusubukan sa atin ng ating examiner? What is the rule, concept, provision, or doctrine that is being tested in this problem? If what is being tested is still unclear to you based only on the last two sentences, then feel free to come back to this after the next step. Here, what is being tested is our understanding of the crime of illegal possession of firearms under Republic Act No. 10591. It can be treated as a separate offense. It can also be absorbed into another crime or crimes. It can also be considered as an aggravating circumstance. We are now being tested on whether or not it was correctly used as a separate offense. The next step now, kapatid, is for us to read the problem from start to finish. We will look for bits and pieces, anything really, that will help us answer the question. We will go over the problem line by line and look for clues that might help us give to the examiner the answer he or she wants. If you see an actor, mark it. If you see the actor's action, mark it. If you think something might be relevant, then mark it. All others we can safely ignore as noise. I hope I'm still making sense so far. Let's begin reading the problem from start to finish. Jesusa, a mayoralty candidate of the municipality of Jaén, Nueva Ecija, during the 2019 local elections was ambushed and gunned down by Jhudas, a gun for hire. Jhudas was arrested at a Comelec checkpoint just after the incident. The firearm he used, a baby Armalite, was verified to be without any license. During the interrogation, Jhudas admitted that Pontio, the rival mayoralty candidate of Jesusa, paid him 1 million pesos to assassinate Jesusa. Due to Judas's admission, coupled with the sworn statement of an eyewitness, the prosecutor filed 2 informations, one for murder and one for illegal possession of firearm, against both Jhudas and Pontio. In the first line of the problem, the examiner is introducing us to Jesusa, who was a mayoralty candidate. She was ambushed and gunned down by Jhudas. Jhudas was actually arrested in a Comelec checkpoint with a loose firearm. The next action of our actor is to admit that it was Pontio, another actor, who was the person who paid him to assassinate Jesusa. Now, Jhudas and Pontio are both being charged with murder and illegal possession of a firearm. In the next paragraph, the examiner is now asking us whether we agree or disagree with the charges filed by the prosecutor. Then we are being asked to explain briefly. After marking our paragraph, it should look like this. Knowing what you now know about the problem, please pause this video and type up your answers in the comment section. This is the only way for me to gauge your answers, and I will try to respond as best as I can. Libre dito ang magkamali, kapatid. Hindi mo ito ikakabagsak dahil hindi mo ako professor at hindi rin kita estudyante. Huwag kang matatakot na magkakamali dito, kapatid, kung ikakatama mo naman sa iyong quiz at midterms o maging iyong bar exam. This problem is a good illustration of the technique I call leading. Leading is the process of dropping as many bits and pieces of information for a student to reach a particular conclusion or maintain a particular position or to support a given argument. Leading is all about baiting the student to give the incorrect answer. It works best against students who are prepared, who are ready, but not at 100%. Okay lang yan, kapatid, kung hindi ka tinatablan ng leading, lalo na kung wala ka pa sa kalahati ng iyong naaaral para sa inyong quiz o exam. Leading puts the student into a position where he or she seems to have no other choice but to agree with the position, the argument, or the conclusion that the examiner has laid down before you. On the flip side, our instincts tell us that this position is wrong, much like the story of Hansel and Gretel, when they were led to the hut or the house of the evil witch who eats little children. Leading also preys on our natural tendency to overthink our own answers. When you face questions where the examiner uses the technique of leading, my advice is for you to follow your gut instinct. If the answer is too easy, it's probably incorrect. The answer might be found in some obscure case or some exception that may not have been necessarily covered in your classes. In this problem, the examiner has embedded the crucial concept of the kinds of principles under Article 17. Here it appears that Jhudas was the gun for hire, the velvet glove that moved. He is our principal by direct participation because he was the person who pulled the trigger. Now, Jhudas would not have pulled the trigger had it not been because of the promise of bounty, 1 million pesos for the life of a mayoralty candidate. He was paid by Pontio, the hand that moved the velvet glove. He is our principal by inducement. With that being said, at the point of apprehension, only one of them was in actual possession of the baby Armalite that was used to ambush Jesusa. Can we now say that the charge of illegal possession of a firearm is applicable to both? Republic Act number 10591 or the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act of 2013 provides that a loose firearm is one that is not registered or in the possession of a non-licensee. The definition also covers illegally manufactured firearms, those that have been stolen or lost, those whose serial numbers have been erased, altered, or modified. Finally, a loose firearm also includes a firearm in the possession of a person whose license has been revoked. Section 29 of Republic Act number 10591 provides 3 instances in the appreciation of the illegal possession of firearms. It is considered an aggravating circumstance if the use of the loose firearm is inherent in the commission of a crime under the revised penal code or our special laws, like carnapping. If the penalty for the crime actually committed is lower than that of the illegal possession of firearm, then the penalty under Republic Act number 10591 shall apply. If the penalty for the crime actually committed is lower than that of the illegal possession of firearm, then the penalty under Republic Act number 10591 shall apply. If the penalty of the crime actually committed is higher than the appropriate penalty for illegal possession, then the penalty for the crime actually committed is applicable. Alinman sa kanila ang mas mataas. Ang penalty ng illegal possession of firearms ay nakabatay sa classification, condition, or possible modification at the time of its confiscation. I encourage you to read that, kapatid, but this is something I've also discussed in our monthly subscription lecture series. If you are interested in learning more, please type interested in our comments down below. Illegal possession of firearms can also be absorbed, meaning it can be included in the crimes of rebellion, insurrection, or attempted coup d'etat. If and only if the violation is in furtherance of or incident to or in connection with any of these crimes. Take note, kapatid, dahil dyan lang may absorption. Can the crime of illegal possession of firearms be charged as a separate offense? Section 29 says yes. It is considered as a distinct and separate offense if the crime is committed by the person without using the loose firearm. This means that if the victim was killed by asphyxiation, sinakal, or by a steel wire, or by repeated stab wounds, even when the accused was armed with a loose firearm, this is the only time when we can charge both murder and the illegal possession of firearms. So, we begin our suggested answer with, no, I disagree with the prosecutor's charges because the use of an unlicensed firearm should be an aggravating circumstance. Notice, kapatid, that I have used the precise language of the law. The law demands precision in everything we do. However, I have taken the liberty of not writing the entirety of the provision. Doon lang tayo sa relevant, mahalaga, at magagamit natin sa susunod na paragraph. Our next line is our most important paragraph. Next, we need to write our legal basis. The law does not require that you cite the entire provision of the law. All that matters is you write the most relevant portions of the law. Republic Act number 10591 provides that the use of a loose firearm when inherent in the commission of a crime punishable under the revised penal code or other special laws, it shall be considered as an aggravating circumstance. If the crime is committed by the person without using the loose firearm, the violation shall be considered as a distinct and separate offense. Notice, kapatid, that I have used the precise language of the law. The law demands precision in everything we do. However, I have taken the liberty of not writing the entirety of the provision. Doon lang tayo sa relevant, mahalaga, at magagamit natin sa susunod na paragraph. Our next line is our most important paragraph. Our arguments. This is where you have to argue. Ilaban mo yan, kapatid. You cannot parrot back to the examiner the facts that he or she has written down. Wala siyang paki dito kapatid dahil siya ang nagsulat ng problem. Malamang sa malamang ay alam din naman niya ang kwento nito. In this next line, we have to tell the examiner why we have taken this position and why we have chosen this legal basis. We have to give back to the examiner what he or she needs. It's our chance to say, "Ha, I see what you did there." We do this by arguing why we are correct. In effect, we need to sell to the examiner why we are correct. You can land at the correct answer kapatid, pero kung hindi mo naman ito maibebenta, kung hindi mo naman makukumbinsi ang examiner na tama ka, ay wala ka na ring pinagkaiba sa ilang libong sagot na dadaan lang sa kanyang mga mata. We stand out by first being hyper-responsive to the problem, and second, through our eloquence. This begins by laying down the strongest argument. What is our strongest argument here? The strongest argument here is that Jhudas cannot be charged with the illegal possession of a firearm because he actually used it in the commission of the crime of murder. The illegal possession becomes an aggravating circumstance. Pontio, for his part, paid 1 million pesos to Jhudas. He is equally liable for murder, but he was not in possession of the baby Armalite at the time of his arrest. If there is a loose firearm but there is no possession, meaning no actual contact, walang actual contact ang ating akusado doon sa loose firearm, can we now have a conviction for illegal possession of a firearm? Possible pa rin naman kapatid, pwedeng yung baril ay nakarehistro sa pangalan ni Pontio, but that was not included in the facts. We cannot make assumptions, modify the facts, or answer our own questions in an exam. I hope I am making sense so far. Now, how do we say all of this in the simplest, most concise manner possible? In this problem, the prosecutor is incorrect in charging Jhudas with the separate crime of illegal possession of firearms because the baby Armalite was used in killing Jesusa. The charge cannot also be made against Pontio because he was a principal by inducement, not by direct participation. Notice kapatid that we began our suggested answer with "in this problem." Masakit sa mata ang mabasa ang "in the case at bar" dahil wala naman tayo sa korte at ito ay isang academic exercise. Hindi mo yun ikinakatalino kapatid. Pwedeng-pwede na rin kami sa "here, dahil madali lang itong dot-dotin sa iyong keyboard." I hope I'm still making sense so far. Next, you need to phrase your answer in the form of an argument. You are in law school because you are hoping that someday, one day, you will be a lawyer. At a certain point in your life, kapatid, you will be arguing for a living. Hindi ko naman sinasabi na maging palaaway ka, kapatid. Arguing means convincing your professor, your examiner, or the courts on the merits of your position. Arguing means selling your position and convincing your professor of the correctness of your answer. In your third paragraph, you need to argue. Hindi ka pwedeng umulit lang ng facts. Wala ka nang magiging kaibahan sa ilang libong booklet o answer sheet na dadaan lang sa mata ng mga examiner. Dapat kapag binasa ng professor mo ang sagot mo, masasabi niya na magiging abogada ang batang are. The worst mistake you can make in a conclusion is to simply repeat your opening statement. This would be a waste of your examiners or professors' precious time and attention. Marami ring hindi na lang nagsusulat ng conclusion dahil ayaw na lang nilang umulit lang ng first sentence. When you don't know what to write, focus on the fruits, effects, and results. Assuming that your answer is correct. Ano kaya ngayon? With our conclusion, the suggested answer should look like this. No, I disagree with the prosecutor's charges because the use of an unlicensed firearm should be an aggravating circumstance. Republic Act No. 10591 provides that the use of a loose firearm when inherent in the commission of a crime punishable under the revised penal code or other special laws, it shall be considered as an aggravating circumstance. If the crime is committed by the person without using the loose firearm, the violation shall be considered as a distinct and separate offense. In this problem, the prosecutor is incorrect in charging Judas with the separate crime of illegal possession of firearms because the baby Armalite was used in killing Jesus. The charge cannot also be made against Pontio because he was a principal by inducement, not by direct participation. For these reasons, Judas and Pontio may only be convicted of the crime of murder. The worst mistake you can make in a conclusion is to simply repeat your opening statement. This would be a waste of your examiners or professors' precious time and attention. Marami ring hindi na lang nagsusulat ng conclusion dahil ayaw na lang nilang umulit lang ng first sentence. When you don't know what to write, focus on the fruits, effects, and results. Assuming that your answer is correct. Ano kaya ngayon? Salamat kapatid at sinamahan mo ako sa ilang minuto na tayo ay nagsagot ng isang bar exam problem. I will be doing my best to respond to all of your answers in the comments and give you timely feedback. Sana at kahit papano ay may natutunan ka. The means and methods I've discussed here are all contained in our digital workbook 8, 101 practice problems for lost law students and bar takers. Here you will be tasked with answering about 105 bar problems spread out in various bar subjects. All of the answers here are broken down, explained, and discussed in much greater detail than what we have done here. You will also learn about how examiners draft their problems, where questions come from, and how to predict with a reasonable degree of accuracy the problems that might come out in your midterm and final exams. In this workbook, I've also discussed the common tactics that professors use to confuse law students and baristas. At ano ang pwedeng pangontra sa mga tactics nila? Narito rin ang mga typical na mali ng mga law students sa kanilang mga sagot at kung paano natin ito gagamutin. Follow along the journey as we help you take your answers from miserable to elegante. Grab your copy of 8, 101 practice problems for lost law students and bar takers through the links in the description box below. If you would like to see more episodes on how to answer law school exams and bar problems, please let me know by typing yes in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Like and share this video for good law school karma, and I will see you next Friday.